Welcome to Reflect with Ed Fassio. Get ready to experience one of the world's first 100% digitally generated podcasts, where we take a step back, dive deep, and strive to learn new things. Join us as we unpack thought-provoking ideas, personal reflections, and inspiring stories to help you stay in the know. Reflect is brought to you by the minds at ByteBrain and powered by emerging technologies from Google, HeyGen, OpenAI, and 11 Labs. Thanks for tuning in. Now, relax and prepare to reflect.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're diving into some seriously crazy AI stuff, like AI that can, get this, replicate your entire personality. We're not talking sci-fi here. Nope. This is real deal research from Stanford and Google DeepMind, and you won't believe how they did it.
Yeah, it really is pretty mind-blowing. So they took 1,000 people, all different backgrounds, and had them sit for these 2-hour interviews.
2 hours. Whoa. That's a long chat. What'd they talk about?
Oh, everything under the sun, like childhood memories, politics, their favorite pizza toppings, everything.
So they got all this juicy personal info, and then what?
They fed all that data into their AI systems, created these AI replicas of the participants.
Okay, so they have these AI clones.
Yeah.
And then
they had both the humans and their AI twins take personality tests, surveys, you name it. Even threw in some logic games for good measure.
All right. I'm on the edge of my seat here. What were the results? Spill it.
Get this. The AI responses matched the human responses, 85% of the time.
85%? Holy shit. That's insane. That really makes you think, what makes you you. That an AI can just capture that essence, it's kind of freaky, but also amazing.
Yeah, no doubt. It really blurs the lines. And the guy who led the study, Jin-Sung Park from Stanford, he said something that really stuck with me. He said, if you can have a bunch of small users running around and actually making the decisions that you would have made, that I think is ultimately the future.
Whoa, hold up. Bunch of mini-me's running around making decisions?
Mm-hmm.
That's some Black Mirror shit right there.
Okay.
So what are they calling these AI doppelgangers?
They're calling them simulation agents.
Simulation agents, huh? So how are these different from Siri or Alexa? I mean, those are AI too, right?
True, but Siri and Alexa, those are what we call tool-based agents. They're designed to do stuff for us, like play music or set reminders.
Right.
But these simulation agents, they're different. They're designed to actually behave like us, to mimic how we think, our values, even our, biases and stuff.
Okay, so it's not just about doing what we say. It's about, actually thinking like we do. That's a whole other level of AI, man. So why would we even want AI that acts like humans? That seems, I don't know, kind of risky.
Well, the researchers think these simulation agents could be super useful for, research, especially in the social sciences.
Social sciences, huh? How so?
Think about it. You could run these massive simulations with thousands of AI participants who act like real people. You could study how misinformation spreads online, model complex social interactions, even predict traffic patterns with crazy accuracy.
Okay, I see where you're going with this. But why use interviews for the data? Isn't there already tons of info about us online? Couldn't they use that instead?
That's a good question. The lead researcher, Park, he actually had this, epiphany after doing a bunch of podcast interviews for another paper he published. He realized that those long conversations, usually around 2 hours, revealed so much personal detail that you wouldn't find in a survey or on social media.
So it's about going deeper, getting those unique nuggets of personality that make us, us.
That's pretty fascinating, actually.
It really is.
But if those deep dives are the key here, couldn't we potentially create these AI replicas from any recorded conversation, like podcasts, phone calls, even therapy sessions?
You're exactly right. And that's where things start to get, a little creepy. While this study focuses on the good stuff, there's definitely potential for some serious misuse here.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Imagine someone creates an AI clone of you without your permission, and this AI is out there running its mouth, saying things you would never say.
It's like deepfakes, but on a whole new level.
Right. And it wouldn't just be bad actors, right? Companies could get in on this too, using our data to create AI versions of us for marketing or advertising.
Oh, absolutely. They could be using AI to subtly influence your decisions without you even realizing it.
So it's like having a digital twin, but instead of making your life easier, it's being used to manipulate you. That's messed up, man. It is a huge concern. That's why we need clear rules and guidelines around this tech, like AHA fee.
Okay, so we've talked about the good, the bad, the ugly. But let's circle back to the research. What are some specific examples of how these AI replicas could actually be used in a positive way?
Let's take the study of misinformation, for example. Instead of recruiting real people, which can be pricey and time-consuming, researchers could use these AI replicas to simulate how different types of people react to, say, online propaganda.
So they could run these controlled experiments with thousands of AI participants that act like real people.
Exactly. And then they could test different strategies for combating misinformation and see what actually works.
I don't like it. What else?
You could use these AI replicas to model complex social interactions, predict traffic patterns, even study how diseases spread.
The possibilities are pretty mind-boggling. But how do we make sure this tech is used for good and not for evil?
Transparency is key. We need the researchers and the companies developing this tech to be upfront about data collection, consent, and the responsible use of AI replicas. And it can't just be up to them, right? We need a public conversation about the ethics of all this, involving experts from all different fields.
It's bigger than just the tech itself, right? It's a societal question of how we want this stuff to be used.
Yeah.
And what safeguards need to be put in place.
Exactly. We also need to educate people about the potential risks so they can make informed decisions about their data and how they interact with AI systems.
Okay, so we've covered the amazing potential and the equally concerning ethical implications. But, this research is still in its early stages. Are there any limitations to what these AI replicas can actually do?
You're right. It's important to remember that these AI replicas were tested on fairly basic stuff like personality tests and simple logic games. They might not be able to fully replicate the complexity of, real human behavior.
So they can mimic our personality traits and preferences.
Yeah.
But they might not understand things like morality or empathy.
That seems to be the case, yeah. In fact, the study found that the AI replicas had a hard time with more complex tasks, like the dictator game, which measures how people make decisions about fairness and resource allocation.
Interesting. It's like they can learn to sound like us and talk the talk, but they don't necessarily think or feel the same way.
Exactly. It's crucial to remember that they're tools, and like any tool, they can be used for good or bad. It's up to us to figure out how to use them responsibly.
Well said. But, this study focused on using in-depth interviews to create these AI replicas. What about other approaches? Are there other ways to capture someone's essence, so to speak?
There's a company called Tabis that says they can create digital twins using emails and online interactions. It's more of a big data approach.
Right, but I imagine that takes a ton of data to get even remotely close.
It does, but this new research suggests that a more focused approach, like using interviews, could be way more efficient.
So instead of needing years of emails and social media posts, you could create a pretty convincing AI replica after just a couple of hours of conversation.
That's the idea.
That's wild.
It is, and it has some pretty big implications. Imagine being able to create a digital twin that could attend those boring meetings for you, or deal with customer service so you don't have to.
Sign me up for that. But it also makes you think, if your digital twin is out there making decisions and interacting with people, what does that mean for your own sense of self?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? If an AI can perfectly replicate your personality, does that make you replaceable?
Whoa. Okay, we're getting into some deep philosophical territory here.
It's a question we'll all have to grapple with as this technology continues to evolve.
It really feels like we're on the verge of science fiction becoming reality.
It's both exciting and a little terrifying, to be honest. This technology has the potential to change everything, for better or for worse.
So what does all of this mean for our listeners? What should they be thinking about as this technology keeps advancing?
I think the most important thing is awareness. Be mindful of the data you're sharing online, the conversations you're having, basically your digital footprint. That information could be used to create an AI replica of you, whether you like it or not.
And I guess we should also be skeptical of anyone claiming to have created a perfect digital twin. As we've discussed, this technology has limitations, and it could be used for things you might not be comfortable with.
Absolutely. Critical thinking is more important than ever these days, especially with AI advancing so quickly. Don't believe everything you see or hear online. Question your assumptions, and stay informed about the implications of this technology, both the good and the bad.
Well said. I think we've given our listeners a lot to chew on today. This is definitely a topic we'll be revisiting as the research continues to evolve.
Definitely. This is just the beginning of the conversation.
Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive. Until next time, stay curious.
In the cyber ocean of online voices and recycled content, something different has arrived. Reflect isn't just another podcast, It's the future of storytelling, powered entirely by AI. From curating data to assembling thought-provoking ideas, we've redefined how journeys are told. Reflect is a podcast that thinks, learns, and evolves with each episode. Every tale, every insight, crafted by the most advanced AI technologies. A podcast that disrupts the industry, breaking free from traditional formats, taking you on an entirely new experience. So tune in now and reflect. We're telling the future.